Our first gig in Tamworth. Wow, that's so long ago.
We started out busking and then
Yes.
went to Talent Quest, but our first gig I think was at the Imperial Hotel with the Night Rider band. They were
Yeah, from Norfolk Island.
Norfolk
They
Island.
invited us to be part of, like, guests, and we weren't even legal to be in the bar.
No, and Tina Martin performed, and to us she was like, oh.
Yeah,
She just
megastar.
She just brought out Wham Bam at that stage,
Yes.
so it was a huge moment for us.
My very first gig at the Tamworth Country Music Festival was I just got up on stage with another band and played a Garth Brooks tune. I'm a huge Garth Brooks fan.
My first gig at the Tamworth Country Music Festival was probably not a real gig. I've been coming for so long now. I've been coming since I was 1 year old, so that's 30-something years. But it was probably a talent quest, actually. I would have done a talent quest. My first actual gig was in West Blazers, and it was a ticketed show, and I thought I wouldn't sell any tickets, and I walked out to an almost full room. So that was a really exciting first gig at the Tamworth Country Music Festival.
My first gig in Tamworth, I'm fairly sure it was at the pub. It was a cute little acoustic gig out the front, and yeah, not many people turned up, but it was so fun, and I was so stoked to finally be playing at the Tamworth Country Music Festival.
My first gig was in 2004. It was called the Telstra Road to Tamworth. It was actually a talent quest, so that was how I got my start in Tamworth. I found my way by winning a heat in Newcastle, and then I got to come to Tamworth to go in the semi-final, and then I got into the grand final, and I came second in the grand final, and that was my start. And you know who won? Jessica Malboy. There you go. So that was my start in country music.
My first gig in Tamworth, I would have to say, was at the Oasis Hotel. And they said, we're only playing Slim Dusty and Stan Costa here. And so I had to adapt my set list. And after I played the gig, a guy came up to me and presented me with a book that his wife had typed out every Stan Costa lyric with the typewriter, which is dedication, and handed it to me and said, learn that for your next gig.
My first experience playing for people in Tamworth was on the street of Peel Street, busking. I was just a wee thing in primary school. Heading into high school, I was 11, and it was nerve-wracking, but I loved it.
The first gig I ever played in Tamworth, I think, was my Star Maker final. And I was so nervous because I had been the first person drawn out of the hat, and then they forgot to put the front of house speakers on. But it was an amazing experience. They turned them on by the time I got my second song up, so it was great.
My first show in Tamworth was, I think, 2004, something like that. It was, and I don't remember exactly what venue it was at, but it was at the back in a beer garden under a big tent. And I remember us getting kicked out before we played because the sound engineer had changed something on the desk, and the house guy didn't like it. So my first gig was kind of a non-event. It didn't even happen.
Well, my first appearance in Tamworth, or gig, wasn't a gig as such. It was actually a talent quest, the CCMA one, and I remember I met Felicity Urquhart there, and yeah, she's been following me around ever since.
My first gig in Tamworth was a songwriters round at the Capitol Theatre, and look, I can't even tell you how little I knew about performing on stage with a guitar. Nothing. It was terrifying. I'm going to say it was fun though.
My first gig in Tamworth, well, that would have been probably back in 1985. And I was fresh out of school and had a driver's licence, drove down from Queensland. And I remember playing over at the old Southgate Inn.
My first gig in Tamworth, I was about 21 years old, and my mum and dad brought me up here, and it was a big road trip from Adelaide. And I'd been singing for a few years, and they said, how about we go and try some of the talent quests at Tamworth Country Music Festival? And so I came up, and my first gig was in a talent quest.
12 years, this is my 12th year. Yeah, so it's gone really quick. When I first came, the festival was this eclectic, wild thing that was, sort of running around the city. And over the 12 years, things have, sort of come together, and great to see people working together and really making making it look great and market well and sound great. Yeah.
My first gig at Tamworth, it depends on what defines a gig. A bus out the front of a cafe for a few years. But I guess my first real gig was something they used to call the Buttercup Open House concerts at Town Hall. They were pretty special, and yeah, it was a real eye-opener. First time working with a band.